Welcome everybody to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast, and in this video we're going to be our review for the Continental episode 3 titled Theater of Pain, now streaming, all episodes now streaming on Peacock. We have stuck with the show since the very beginning and we've enjoyed it so far. Got a lot of thoughts to say. Dylan, without further ado, why don't you shoot us off? But that's kind of weird to say.
Just like a red dot on my foot.
Yeah.
I like this episode. I had some criticisms on it. And I don't know. I want more. I just want more out of this.
You wanted more?
Right. No, but it was, I think for a closing episode, it was pretty good. There's definitely a lot. It's definitely worth the title. It's definitely a theater of pain. There's so many unique deaths and fights in this episode. It was definitely well choreographed. There was a lot of great martial arts scenes, a lot of great, gun action in interweaved in some of the scenes. I think it was a little bit long. This thing is practically a movie. It's like 1 hour and some change. So I think they could have cut it down a little bit. Maybe they should have took some of this and applied it to episode 2, the one before it, and then at least the timing would have been a little bit more, evenly paced. But for the most part, I think it's a good conclusion. And I think it is a great way of kind of leading into the John Wick universe. But let's get your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, it is actually pretty long. I think I like your idea that they should have put some elements into episode 2. I think I gave episode 2 like a higher rating than you did, but I'm sure my rating would have went even higher if they had put some elements that wasn't it. And usually you want to do that. Like when there's a 10-part season and episode 9 will usually kind of ramp up and then episode 10 will like go fully there. So they should have done that. That is true. I think maybe they were a little bit held back with just the episode count. It's a 3-part event. But yeah, there was so many crazy deaths in this. I think it was really inventive. At least this went full action, which I appreciated. That's what I really wanted to see, especially from a product of the John Wick world. So I did like the ending as well. I liked how it ended, and I don't think there'll be a next part to this, but I think the way how it ended, it could lead to that, and maybe in a different time period. I think that'll be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what did you think of Winston in this episode? Do you think he has really cemented his place, or do you think there's still room for more exploration and perhaps another season? Let's get your thoughts.
I honestly think you should keep this character. I do like the actor. I wish he got the voice more down pat, but I do like the actor. I do like Colin Woodall, and I think he's a young guy. You could keep him around for a while, make more seasons. This time, maybe next time. That'll be interesting if each season was like 3 parts or something. But you could make it like, let's say in the 1980s and lead all the way to the early 2000s or something. I do want to see more references to the actual John Wick movies. But I get it. They want to do their own thing. They don't want to. But again, the show is like from the world of John Wick. So I think it would be cool, at least, because I want to see William Dafoe's cameo or like some guy playing him, a younger version, maybe a little John Wick. I think that would have been so sincere, like really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in John Wick Chapter 4, we had this thing where we're saying, oh, is Winston actually John Wick's father? It's like really weird how they left it on that note. But yeah, I think there's a lot more that they could play with in this sandbox. We do have the ballerina coming out. After that, I'm not too sure what else. So, and Peacock's a cool platform. I think they could do a lot with the platform they have right now. We had Twisted Metal as well, so that was pretty good. That was pretty successful. So for sure, I do like him in this show, though. I think this is a great first appearance of a younger Winston and just the actor. I think he did a great job. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a good introduction for him, especially his relationship with Sharon. And I think it definitely explored the origins of the Continental. I love seeing the little secrets that are hidden within the Continental, because we don't really see it much. They kind of treat it as its own character almost in the show, which we don't get a lot, because in the John Wick movie, it's mainly about them hunting John all the time. But in the Continental, we actually get to see like the foundations, how it works. We get to see like some of the people that actually reside in the Continental, which is really cool. It even has its like own like self-destruct sequence, which I thought was like really cool. I wonder if that's like how the Marquis like blew up the
true.
Continental in John Wick 4.
Yeah.
It would have been like so meta. But let's get your thoughts on some of the action sequences, because there's a lot. There's a lot of hand to hand. There's a lot of cool gunplay. Sometimes I felt like the choreography was like a little inconsistent. I mean, some of the hand to hand stuff was cool, but then when you had like certain fights where they were like fighting like some of the henchmen, it looked a little off. Like there was one scene where Katie like she like threw her fist in the air and the guy was like, oh, it looked so fake. I was like, oh my god, you could do better than this. But I want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to handle. Some of these people, of course, they're not like a professional at fighting, but of course, you know, you have to get to that point, and I think that's where Keanu Reeves excels. So it's kind of hard to fill those shoes, especially of actors who aren't really used to this type of genre. And for the most part, I think they gave a lot of respect to the stunt workers in this, and I think it was really creative. Sometimes it went a little bit awry in sense of timing for certain sequences, but for the most part, I think it was really creative. And then plus it all takes place in a Continental too, so that was really cool. And just seeing, like, for example, them sending, you know, the tube thing with the messages, and then, like, how that delivered explosives to certain floors, I thought that was cool. Like, pool sequence was cool. There was a lot of notable moments for the most part. I'm surprised everybody is like really proficient in jujitsu. Like jujitsu in New York must be at all-time high.
Common practice or some shit.
Yeah, it's like what you learn in kindergarten. That's
like,
funny.
Kung Fu Hustle. You could just pull like a manual off the street and just learn Kung Fu in like 10 minutes or some shit.
Rest in peace to karate and sambo.
Shit, I guess.
But yeah, no, for the most part, I think it was pretty cool. The Winston and Cormac fight was. It was whatever. It was kind of whatever. I kind of, for some reason, I always expect that, like, when you have these two main leads, for some reason they never fight that good, like, compared to everybody else or like the other sequences. But I thought it was okay.
Yeah. There was a lot of creative deaths in this. We had like one. I love the fights between the Hansel and Gretel twins. I thought those were really interesting. Those are probably the biggest takeaways. They did those really well. I love how Gretel died with the C4 vest. I thought that was really inventive. So I think they don't lose that factor because it's John Wick. You have to up the bar everything you put out, because it's like, how do you top like all these crazy deaths? So I think they managed to do that pretty well. But yeah, I keep going back to the pacing thing because I feel like they tried to throw in a lot of things in this one episode because it was the last episode. So there were like some unnecessary subplots that I feel like kind of lost my interest, like the whole Lou losing the karate studio. I didn't care much for that. Even like Yen's story, like her trying to avenge Frankie, that could have been cut like way shorter. But for the most part, I think it was a really cool battle sequence, and I just love the ending, how Winston talks to the adjudicator. I think that was such a cool little detail of him stepping off the steps of the Continental before he shoots her, because the red light was off, so they went back to the rules. So of course he can't kill on Continental. So in a way, he still pays homage to the Continental. I think that's why this show was good at showing almost the modern Winston, because he pays homage to the rule. He understands, even though he's kind of new to this world, he still pays respect to it. Like even like with the coin press thing, he pays respects to the Bowery Queen. So I love that this show manages to build a lot of his alliances like early on. That's why I kind of wanted more out of this show, because it's like you have so much to play with in the John Wick universe. Yeah, like you said, we could have seen like a younger Marcus, or maybe even some other characters from the John Wick universe, like a younger Kane, or like you have so many opportunities to bring in a lot of the characters that we see from the movie. Like a younger John could have been cool too. So it is a short-lived series, but I think the open-ended factor kind of lends to the imagination. Like, okay, maybe we could see it season 2 possibly, or maybe something like you said with the ballerina or something. So overall, I thought it wasn't bad. What are your final thoughts, and how would you rate this?
Yeah, I mean, I just like Winston too, because it's kind of a reflection of John, like how different they are and how they approach business. And I do like how this Winston ties into the modern Winston. And I think you could look at the John Wick movies, and I think it's easier, which I think it's pretty easy to tie back to the Continental in a way, and I do appreciate that. And again, when you expand on the lore, because it is it's like really interesting. I think at the end of John Wick 2, that ending, and when everybody is like actually an assassin of some sort, it's like, whoa, what is this world? Where are we? And so I love how they're trying to expand more on the lore. And I think by doing this is a great first step, because by doing this, eventually you can make video games, you can make whatever. I think this is a great stepping stone, and it's short as well. So, you know, there's some gripes about pacing and stuff, but for the most part, I think it's still digestible. I've enjoyed the season so far, and if I were to rate this episode, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. If I were to rate the season, I probably would give it a 7 out of 10.
I agree with you. I think it was pretty good for a final episode. It could have been a 9 for me, but because of the runtime and a lot of the pacing issues, I think I'll give it an 8. Yeah, I'd probably give this overall a 7. I think episode 2 was kind of the weaker of the triumvirate, and that's what kind of makes me give this rating. But I do like the unique cinematic aesthetics to the show. It is definitely a departure from the John Wick universe in terms of storytelling and style. But I think that kind of lends to it because it is like almost like a historical piece too. It talks a lot about, you know, the era like of Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
So I think it is a really cool addition to the universe. So I'll probably give this 7 out of 10 as well. But guys, that is our review for the Continental. Let us know what you thought of this episode and this series, what you think we'll probably see for the future. But yeah, stick with us if you enjoyed this video. Give a like, sub to the channel if you enjoyed our content. We love John Wick. We did a review for John Wick 4.
Links down below.
Links down below. Yes. But yeah, thank you guys so much. And until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
Yeah, woo! See you guys.